Hello, welcome back. Another day, another castle. On this one we've got an adult castle to set up, but we're going to make this video a little bit different. On this one we're going to do the complete setup, so we're going to show you the complete process of getting the castle, loading it into your van, delivering it to the job, taking it out of the van and then setting it up in the garden. Now on this particular one we've got an adult castle, which is this one here. It's quite a big lump. Not sure the weight of it, but it's a lot anyway. It's more than me, put it that way. So we've got our trolley here. We're going to push it underneath like that. Now, like I say, it's got a drop down plate on this one, but you don't need it. In fact, it's a little bit harder to get it under, so it's not necessary. Just the actual the weight of the castle leaning back will just hold it in place anyway. So you pull it back. I always stand on it like that with my feet and give it a swing like that. Get it nice and balanced and then bring it out. Now some people put these upright, which you can do, but as I'm only delivering one castle today, I'm just going to slide it in. So you just pivot it in. I tend to use my knee underneath it like that, balance it, and then choose my two hands to push. And that's it. It's in. I don't push it in too far, just enough so I can close the doors. Oh, a little bit out of breath. And then it's easier to pull out. If you push it in further, you've got further to pull it out. So I'm going to bring two ground sheets. Probably won't need both of them. May not even need any of them, but I'll bring two. Pegs already on the van. They're over in that corner there. The pegs, all the cables are at the top. I leave those on there all the time, so I know I've got all them on there all the time. The only thing I load up are the blowers, my castle, and my ground sheets. Now the ground sheets I could leave on there as well, but I tend to get in the way when I'm delivering other stuff, so I only really leave on what I kind of need all the time, which is the pegs and the cables obviously. So we're going to have 3 mats on this one. Oh, there you go. So we get all our castle on, blowers on, mats on, and then we put our trolley back on the van. And that's it all loaded up. So the next thing, drive over to the job and set it up. So we're going to heading off to the job now to set it up. It's quite a local one, this one. It's only about 15 minutes from where I live, which is where we like to keep them in the summer season, nice and local. Now it's a bit cloudy. I'm hoping there's going to be no rain on this job. Well, not on this job, in any rain in general. Rain is the enemy of the bouncy castle, man, because it just means it's a lot more work, and as this castle was an adult one, it makes it also very heavy. You know, they're very heavy anyway, but when they're wet they're even heavier. But hopefully we're not going to get any. And also the actual hire is for tomorrow, which is Saturday, and I'm dropping it off on the Friday. I've got quite a few others to do tomorrow, so sometimes if I've got regular customers or I've used them before, I'll drop it off the day before, particularly if I know it's got high fences and secure gates, locked gates, then it's fine to leave them the day before. Some people don't like to do this. They say it can get damaged with animals and stuff like that, but I've never had it. I did have a bit of fox poo on one once, but other than that, that's not really the customer's fault really. Other than that, it's generally okay, I find. But it's good to see that traffic's a lot lighter. It's actually the school holidays now we're in. So if you're just starting out in the bouncy castle game, and you're just looking for some advice or best practice, then hopefully this video will answer some of the questions. One of the main ones would be to always leave in good time. If you've said to the customer you'll be there at a certain time, I mean, give or take, you know, 20 minutes to half an hour if there's a lot of traffic, but you can always keep the customer in the loop, so to speak. I always text them, so I'm half an hour away once I've put the actual address into my sat nav. It's always good practice. It doesn't take more than a minute or so. Tell them they're on your way, so if they're out of the shops they can pop back, or if they're having a quick shower or whatever, if you're going over in the morning, it should all be good. It's not always possible really if you're starting early, or sometimes they don't turn their phones on, don't get the message, but at least you've done it, at least you've tried. Okay, well, we just pulled up at the job, as you can see. I'm just going to have a chat with the customer now. Got a little bit of gravel on this job as well, which is not great for bouncy castle men, but it's only a little bit, so not too bad. I could probably get the van back a little bit further. How are you?
Not too bad, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah. Okay, so like I said, we've got a little bit of gravel here, but it's not too far to go. Obviously, it does make it a bit harder when you're pulling it on a trolley. Okay, like I say, we've got two trolleys, two blowers. We're going to need one of them. And it's going to be this one. I'll probably put one ground sheet down. I think that'll probably be enough. Sometimes I bring two if it's really stony, like it's stony here, but if it was like that in the garden, I'll put two ground sheets down so it doesn't wear away too much on the bottom of the castle. Now, as I was saying earlier, the idea is not to push the castle in too far, because then you've got to bring it out. And it is pretty heavy, this one. Give myself a bit of room. I shall get in there. On the heavy ones, I mean, you can pull it from there, but as I'm on my own, I'm going to push it up, bending my knees. Like I said, get it as centre as you can. Get the balance right. It's quite a long garden, so we've got a bit of a walk to do. The hardest bit will be this gravel. Right, that's about as far back as we can go, because we've got quite a low hanging tree there, and it's obviously going to be too low, so that'll have to be the back of the castle. So, get it positioned. So, drop it there. Now, and a safety thing on these castles, some people put the castle in the garden, leave it upright while they go and get the rest of the bits. Now, I never do this for the simple reason, if there's kids running around or even animals and that toppled over on them, the weight of these things could do a lot of damage. So I always bring it into the garden and drop it flat. That way when I go back out to the van, I know it's not going to fall on anybody. It's not necessary, but it's good practice. Right, we'll go and get the rest of the bits. So we use a little drop down plate here. We'll put our one ground sheet on. So it's quite a long garden this, so I'm going to probably need about two lengths. These are 20-metre cables. I think two should be enough, maybe even three. Actually, I'm going to bring the bigger ones. Now, I've got 2 gauge cables here. These are the thicker ones, which obviously carry more power down the garden. So on a long garden, instead of using 3 of these are 25 metre. Generally 2 of these would be enough. Now, on this job, that's what I'm going to do, because it is quite long and I have to run it from the house, from the back of the house down to the end of the garden. So I'll bring 2 of them. We'll need our bucket and our pegs, 6 pegs on this castle. And like I say, I always leave my pegs in the bucket. That way I know I'm never going to be short. One of the main things in this job is making sure you've got you're doing an inventory on each job, so you know you've not left anything behind, because it can cause a major headache if you haven't loaded something and have to go back and their party's starting at a certain time. You do not want that. Okay. Like I say, a little bit of gravel, not too bad. All nice and flat. Quite a nice level garden, really. So we'll leave our blower roughly in position where we want it. Take our straps off. Now I will pull this over more centre in the garden, but I've just dropped it here because that is roughly where I want it. And there's the back of the castle and a blower. Now the blower can sit under the tree, obviously. I'm going to roll it back so I can get a ground sheet down. Actually, it's probably not necessary. I'll put it in anyway. It's going to be there a couple of days. Now these ground sheets, they're quite heavy duty. This one's quite worn now, actually, as you can see the holes in it. But they come from Costco. They're 12 by 12 ones, so it's 12 by 12 castle, so You could technically use 2 on this, but I think one's going to be enough to go under the bulk with it. Like I say, generally only put them down if the ground's really soft and wet, or if it's a very stony garden. Now, in this garden it's neither of those. It's neither stony or wet, so it doesn't necessarily need one, but I'm going to put it down anyway. But this is generally where I'm going to set the castle up, so it's facing the house. Just have it like that. Central, so like I said, I'm a little bit out of position, but once we inflate this, we can pull it over. So the next thing is to get your blower in position. Now these castles are made by Air Inflatables. They're no longer with us. They were sold out to Air Key, I believe. Very good manufacturer though. Make really good quality. I've had them for a number of years and have them tested annually, and they always pass. So they're good castles. As you can see, there's a little twist in it, but that will come out once we inflate the castle. Now, like I say, we've got to run the cable from the house. There's a power point just outside, so I've got 2 cables, which we will definitely need, but I don't really want to use 3 if I can help it. You can get away with 3, but sometimes the blower will struggle to get up to the right capacity. It will get there eventually, but it'll be like it's struggling to do it. And on a big castle, you don't really want that. So we'll plug that fly lead in. Now I always put these fly leads on the blower, so I know which one goes with which. The reason being, when I do my pack testing each year, I test 1 blower and 1 cable. So they'll have a corresponding number on them. That's got CK003, and that should be CK003 blower. Sometimes they get mixed up, but when I actually test them, I put the 1 and 1 together, so I know that instead of having to test the cable separately through the blower, I can do them as 1 unit, because technically they are, but you can take them off and swap them around if you need to. Right, we'll walk up to the house and we'll run this down the garden. Now they are chunky cables, these ones, but they are good. The blower won't struggle to fire up with this. So that's 25 metres cables. So we probably would have got away with 2 of the thinner cables, but I've got these now. Won't do any harm to use them. So we only need a little piece on that end, but what is I'll pull these in around the actual trees once I get it down here. Now these are good connectors, these IP44 rated, which means they're splash proof. They're not waterproof as such, so if you put that in a bucket it would trip out, it wouldn't work, but if it rained on it while it was out there, you're pretty much good to go. I've never had them cut out. I've never had a customer ring me and say that, but these are the ones you want for outdoor use. You don't want these indoor extension leads. Sometimes a customer will say, I've got my own extension lead and I've rolled it out ready for you. I always decline. I say thank you very much, but I'll use my own, for the simple reason if it tripped out, you're still going to get that phone call saying there's something wrong with the bouncy castle. So always use your own cables that you've tested and you know that are in all good and work in order. Now another thing, good practice, always roll these cables out because they can get very hot. Not so much when they're loose like this, but if they're on a cable reel, they can get very hot if they're still coiled up. And again, if it overheats, it will trip out, which you don't want. So always leave them out. I do. I'm going to go back to the house and just tuck all this in how I want it. You don't have to do this, but as we said earlier on the video, it's all good practice. So we can run this behind the tree or behind that table. Always have a little bit of slack on these so it doesn't pull out and then knock the blower out. So leave that down there. We've got plenty of cable, so we can run it out of the way. I won't go over that, it's probably not necessary. Just pull it in, give it a bit of slack. Again, we could probably go behind that tree, but I don't think it's necessary. The castle won't come over as far as this. We'll just tuck it in and around to the back. And that's it. Got plenty of slack on it. Okay, so we've got it pretty much sort of where I want it. It's not dead in the centre of the garden, but I can't really go any further because he's got the trees on the back there. So it's kind of more, as much over as I can get it. We've got the tree at the back here, so we can't go any further back. We could push it forward a little bit, which is what I'll probably do. Now I will put an extra strap on these as well. It's got Velcro around it, but I'll put an extra strap on just to hold it. We've got trees coming over here, but it's pretty much centre and we've got plenty of room to get our pegs in. Don't need the ground sheet there, I'll tuck that underneath, out of the way. So we've got 3 ground sheets on, 2's generally enough really on this. It's going to be adults on it. I've got it all positioned. Now I'm hoping the ground's going to be very dry. We've got a lot of trees, so it generally sucks the moisture out of the ground and it can make it pretty hard to get them in, but we did have some thunderstorms last night and I'm hoping that's going to have helped it soften the ground. So 6 pegs in this one, my trusty hammer. Now that is a 4-pound hammer. You can get 2.5 pound, but I find 4 pounds is about the right weight for these pegs. Now again, some people put these in flush, I'll put them in at an angle, so if there's any wind coming that way, it's pulling against it, not going to pull it out. And the same on the other way, coming at a 45-degree angle. It's not necessary, but it's how I do them. Like that, so it's not going to pull it directly out. If the ground's really soft, it can put them out. Now I leave just enough to get my finger under so I can hook a peg under and lever them out, but that's good and tight. Now rule of thumb from me anyway is if it goes in within 10 pegs, that's just how you want it. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, but around 10. If I'd have hit it harder, it would have been in 10. So it's just about right, not too hard, and it goes in really good and it grips well. If it goes in really softly, it's not going to grip very well, and then we have to what we call double up, which I'll show you now in a second. But like I say, if it's going in like this, I didn't count that one. But if it wasn't going in, and if you pull this and it moves, then it's not in enough. And then you get another peg and you put it across and bash it in. So you call what we call doubling up. So if that one at the bottom comes over, you've got another one coming in to hold it. So it's kind of working on it against each other, if that makes sense. But on this case, or in this case, that's not necessary. They're going in all good. 2 more. And that's it, they're all in. Now you've got 2 deflation zips on this. I always double check them. They should be done up, which they are. You can see it, that's it, open, closed, then the Velcro. Always fold them down. If the zip did fail for any reason, the Velcro would hold it in place. Now it's fairly clean in there and dry, which is good. So we'll just go around and double check all the pegs are in. Good practice. The other Velcro. We've got the zip there. This was a newly put in zip. I had it done a while ago. The other one actually broke off and was getting a bit worn, so you can get these repaired and put in. But that's it, all good. Nice sized garden, nice and flat, just a little bit of gravel as we say, but not too bad. That's what I call a good setup. The only thing left to do is to get the customer to sign the paperwork, running by the health and safety, and that's it, we're good to go. So that's the proper way of setting up a 15 by 18 adult castle. But there is no right and wrong way, but that is best practice. Now again, if it was really windy and this was out in a field, you have bits up here where you can strap ties on. That'll stop it moving around from side to side, like that. So you get these on each 4 points on these bigger castles. There's another one there. A bit hard to reach or get to, but I generally don't need them. They're enough. If you get 6 in the bottom, most of my highs are back gardens. I don't do too many in open fields. and it's kind of in a built up area where I live, so that generally keeps the wind conditions sort of stable really. Well, the last thing to do is to try it out. Yep, nice and springy, a little bit of debris but nothing too serious, and that's pretty much it. That's the adult size bouncy castle set up. We've got a nice little showerproof cover in here, netting on the back so the kids, or the adults for that matter, can't get over the back, which is what you want. And the sides on this one are stitched in, which is a really good safety feature, that, so the kids will try and climb up the sides, and if they do, they can't fall over the back or over the sides. So that's all pretty good. Anyway, as always, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and also you could buy me a coffee if you found it helpful. There's a little link below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.